This is 5 Minute Feng Shui podcast episode 171 7 Feng Shui Mirror Mistakes. Welcome to the 5 Minute Feng Shui podcast, where each week I talk about how to move energy and make money. You'll learn how to create a prosperous home and an abundant life using classical Chinese Feng Shui. I'm your host, Katie Weber, publisher of the Red Lotus Letter, Feng Shui Easing for Wealth. Each week, I'll cover Feng Shui topics that can help you improve your life, share inspiring stories, and always end with 3 easy-to-implement Feng Shui tips that you can put to work right away, and usually in about 5 minutes. Now let's get started on the 5 minutes that could change your life. Well, good afternoon, my Feng Shui friend. We are talking all about mirrors, specifically mirror mistakes, because as a Feng Shui consultant, I often go into people's homes, I look at their photographs, and I see them. I see those mirror mistakes. There's a lot of good ways to use Feng Shui. We're going to talk about that, but we're going to really focus in on where you could be making those Feng Shui mistakes and what it could mean to you. But before we get started on that, I just want to say hello. Hope you're having a good week so far, and that your year of the tiger is rolling along smoothly as it can be, given all of our crazy circumstances going on in the world. We have Women's History Month in the month of March, and we just had Women's Day, International Women's Day, a week ago. And to all my listeners who are women, and to all my listeners who are men who support women, thank you. I want to say thank you for being here and how special and wonderful you are. There is a person that I've been meaning to check on. She's been like one of my longest subscribers and purchasers of my Success Pack. And I really think the world of her, but I realize that I haven't seen her as much here recently, and she hasn't been on our group. And I know she's been having some health effects. Her name is Wanda, and she lives in South Texas, way South Texas. And I always wanted to get down there and meet her personally. That's something I love to do, is to meet readers and clients where they are, wherever they are. I've had some wonderful, wonderful meetups with clients, with customers and readers in various locales, and it's always so rewarding to meet them. But this is a very special lady, and I just wanted to make a shout out, because if you're listening, Wanda, I just want you to know that I am thinking of you, and I think the world of you, and hope you have a wonderful, wonderful day. All right, well, my friends, let's start talking about mirrors, and this is about mistakes specifically, because there are many. You can actually hang a mirror in the wrong place. So let's get to talking about what those possible mistakes are, and possible ways where you could go awry with your mirrors. Now, obviously, just to kind of recap, mirrors are great Feng Shui. They're terrific. If you have a fireplace, you can put a mirror over the fireplace, and it helps to counteract some of that energy that gets burned up with the fireplace. There are ways you can use it, like to reflect a beautiful view. That is one of the best ways that you can use mirrors. I also love them in the dining room. It's beautiful to see a dining room with a mirror, because if you have candles on your dinner table, and pretty lighting, and lots of people around having lots of good food and wonderful times, it's a beautiful way to double that image when you have a mirror. So anytime you have something auspicious and wonderful, having a mirror is a great way to double that auspiciousness. And, but they also do other things, like they add more light to your room. They make the room feel larger. But equally important, though, are the ways not to use mirrors. And these are the Feng Shui mirror don'ts. So we're going to just specifically talk about those and what you need to know about those mirror don'ts. The first one right off the bat is never directly reflect the door. A mirror should never be placed opposite a door or an entrance, because when they are, Your health and wealth can be drained, and opportunity can be pushed out a door. This is one of the things that I noticed. I used to love the Bernie Mac show. Love Bernie Mac. Oh man, I'd love it when he would sit down at the beginning or end of the shows. He goes, "Now, America, I want to talk to you about whatever it was." And he'd say, "America." I love Bernie Mac. I thought he was a great comedian. I just loved his sensibility, loved his show. But one of the things that really hurt me was when I would see him answer the door or anybody go to the front door at his house on TV. Because when you would open it, there was a big mirror right there, right opposite the door. And I always thought that's just pushing that energy right back out. Sadly, he died of a lung illness. And anyhow, I always wondered, if because this was actually supposed to be reflecting his own personal life, this show, and him as a comedian and an entertainer. And so I often wondered, does art imitate life, right? Does life imitate art? I think, obviously we know that does, but does the art imitate life? I wonder. Anyhow, so never have that mirror opposite a door. Now, this is true whether you have a residence or a business. I'm going to give you a great example. Mirrors now, when they're placed at the back of a store, like when somebody walks in and you have a business and they walk in, especially like a boutique or gift shop, something like that, they walk in and they see something moving, because this is the beautiful thing about mirrors is they catch movement and they create movement because they're capturing that light and doubling the view. So if you have merchandise, it can like double the merchandise you have just by having a mirror there. So when they're kind of toward the back, they draw people in, they pull business in. However, they should never be seen from the front of your store. So I gave an example in the article I wrote about mirrors about a bakery. It was a wonderful bakery, and I'm obviously, as a small business owner, I am very attuned to the dilemmas of business and the precariousness of business, because it's tough. It's tough to be a small business. People have to work really hard to keep them going. And so to every small business owner, if you're listening out there, and I just say my hat's off to you, and, keep going, because, it's worth it. It's so worth it. I couldn't imagine being employed again. Oh no, I would not. I'm very dedicated, very earnest worker, as 20 years of every week newsletters can attest to. However, I wouldn't want to work for anybody else but little old me, because I like me. And when me wants to give me a day off, me does. All right, so let's get back to this bakery. So there was a bakery, wonderful small business, and it had a whole back wall that was mirrored. And, that's often the case where you see bakeries and they have their counters or the cases, and they have mirror at the back. It makes it look like twice as many donuts or whatever the case may be. And this particular bakery had mirrors all along the back wall, and then they have big glass windows up front. So from the street, as cars were going by, you're seeing traffic going by, and you're seeing traffic going by. Right? That's money that's going by. You can see people walking by. This was just a situation that every time I drove by, I just had to look the other way, because sometimes I do. I have my Feng Shui hat on, and I look around and I see things and I go, oh my gosh, that's terrible Feng Shui. And this was one of those areas. So what happened to that bakery? It went out of business. And that was followed by another business that went out of business, and another bakery that went out of business. And it's all because you could see the cars and people passing by from the street at the walls. They were reflecting and pushing business out the door. So that was really sad to see that. However, a bakery finally came in, took all those mirrors down. I think somebody drove by and went, I don't think that's a good thing. And they took it down, and they've been in there for over 5 years now. And I'm really happy to see it having such good business and longevity. That's really wonderful. So really important that we definitely want to have mirrors in a business that are toward the back, but are not visible from the street. You want to have mirrors that are at the front of your home, but never directly opposite a door. It's okay if they're perpendicular to a door, that's fine, but never directly opposite. And I know I've gone into businesses and I've gone into homes where I said, I know Feng Shui, and did you know you're not supposed to put a mirror right here? And they'd say, well, my Feng Shui consultant told me to. And I'm like, darn it, I've got to right that wrong. So here I am trying to do my best. So let's also talk about the importance of checking reflections, because mirrors should not reflect the front door. They should also not reflect a bathroom. And sometimes you don't even know they are until you take in all the views. So here's an example. This house had a mirror over the fireplace that was opposite the front door. Hint, hint, it was my house. But only when you went to my second floor that was open to the living area could you tell that the mirror was reflecting the door. That was so interesting to me that you could actually see that from the second floor. It didn't show it from the first floor at all. So you always want to check from a variety of directions to see if there is a view that could be a doubling a view of a toilet or the kitchen or the front door or the garage or some unattractive view. So check from every direction and look around your house to make sure that you aren't reflecting something that you don't want to. Now let's talk about your bedroom. This is a key area that we're talking about. So I'm starting off with the front door. That is number one in Feng Shui. Number two is always the bed. And that doesn't matter whether we're talking about mirrors or the important areas of your home. These are the top two that really are the most important, your front door and your bedroom. And when it comes to mirrors, we never ever want to reflect the bed. That's because when a bed is reflected in a mirror, it can cause insomnia and restlessness. It can also double the number of people in the room. And in Feng Shui thinking, that can mean that there's some relationship, shall we call restlessness, and that can mean infidelity. So we never want to add more people in the room than are actually in the room. And we want to put the focus always on what's going on in the room, not what's going on in the reflection. So even if you've got one of those dressers, I think it's called a triple dresser, the kind that comes with the mirror attached, I promise you, you can take them off. Turn it around, take the screws out, take the boards that are the stands that stand it up on the dresser, take it off, hang it in a hallway. You can find other uses for mirrors that come on top of dressers. And if you have the option to buy new furniture and that their option is to buy a dresser with a mirror or without the mirror, go without. Always hang a picture up. It's so much better than having a mirror. We just don't want to reflect the bed. We want our bedroom to be restful. We want it to be romantic. We want it to be still and quiet, where we can be still and quiet and be rested and romantic. So avoid those mirrors in the bedroom. All right, now let's talk about reflections in the kitchen. We never want to reflect a fireplace or a stove. Fire is the element of joy, and it helps us to stay warm and to cook our food. But reflective fire can be too much fire energy, and that can create anxiety, fatigue, and anger. That's why it's always better to avoid placing mirrors that reflect the stove. Now, this is a common Feng Shui recommendation that can cause a lot of problems. I know because it actually happened to me. We put up a mirror behind my stove, and I even framed it in red. This was when I was first starting out in Feng Shui in the 1980s, late 1980s, and I thought I was doing the best Feng Shui there was. Well, Tim and I argued like there was no end, and it was a really difficult time, I will tell you. And once I took that mirror down, it made all the difference in the world. I know there's the old thing about the cook could be scared. Have you ever been afraid in your kitchen? I've never once been afraid in my kitchen, except one time when my son got too close to me when I was chopping something, and that was those little fingers. You know how that is. But you don't want to reflect the stove. It's just way too much energy, and it's going to create problems for you. The other thing is we never want to have a mirror that's opposite a fireplace. We don't want to see that image or the fire image reflected in a mirror. And the same thing is we don't want to have mirrors having a mirror in the kitchen. in the kitchen or reflecting the kitchen. So not a good idea to put mirrors in those locations. So do avoid those. Now let's talk about those sets, the mirror sets. Sometimes you'll see it's like they'll have a set and they'll maybe have like 3 or 4 mirrors, or they'll have a set of frames and it's 3 or 4 mirrors. Now if you're putting them in a place where you can't see yourself, like some people will put like little starburst mirrors above the bed. You can't see yourself and you're not looking in that mirror. That's okay. But the kind that where they're large and they have space in between them, and what they do is create sort of a cut image. And we don't want to have a look that's cut. So I actually used an image that I found of a bedroom where they had 3 vertical mirrors that were hung vertically in a bedroom on a large wall. And it shows the bed cut into 3 pieces. I don't know about you, but that just is not good symbolism, because it could cut your marriage, right? It could cut you in the middle. It could create, I'm looking at where the bed is and where somebody would be sleeping in the bed, and we're looking at a cut across their abdomen. I'm thinking, what could that do? Could that create problems with gallbladder or liver or stomach or who knows what? Loss of a pregnancy or miscarriage. We want to avoid using mirror tiles and sets anywhere where you could see yourself or you see a reflection of people in the room. Not a good idea. We don't want to see that sort of cut and chopped image. Now let's talk about mirrors at the end of a hallway. Some people say it's good design and it's okay in Feng Shui. I'm here to tell you it ain't. It's not good design and it's not good for Feng Shui either. Remember, mirrors push. Let's think about that. You've got this long hallway and then you have this pushing effect. And this is something like where you have the front door, you've got that mirror at the front door, opposite the front door. It's pushing your energy out. And if anything, what we want to do is we want to draw people to the end of the hallway. I think put a console and a lamp on the table and a pretty picture, and that's lovely. But when there's, you have maybe a darkened hallway or it's a long hallway and you have a mirror at the end, what can often happen is at a distance, mirrors can distort. Unless you've got a really good mirror, they will often start turning to that funhouse kind of feeling. And I remember being at a swanky hotel and I remember seeing a mirror at the end of the long hallway. And I kept thinking, what is it about this place that I don't like? And it bugged me. And when I turned the corner one day, when we were out, I turned the corner, I looked down the end of the long hallway, there is that mirror. There's a mirror above a console at the end of a long hallway, and it was distorted. And it ends up being this creepy feeling. And that's not good Feng Shui. Creepy feelings, never good Feng Shui. It's also kind of disarming if you're moving through your rooms and you're seeing this image of a person reflecting in that mirror. That might be just a little sort of odd and peculiar feeling. And it's also not good to see your image at night. That's one of the reasons we don't like the old TVs, the kind that were the convex sort of TV tube that were glass. They really reflected. And it had this sort of eeriness about it when you could see the shadow being reflected. I never like to see a shadow self being reflected. I just don't think that's a good thing from Feng Shui perspective. So let's avoid putting mirrors at the end of the hallway. And instead, now if you want to put it around the length of the hallway where it's running parallel to bring in more light, that's fine. But at the end, I don't recommend that. It's just not good Feng Shui, so we don't want to do that. Now let's talk about another area where we don't want to put mirrors, and that's at the top or bottom of stairs. I know there are some people that would disagree with that, but my feeling is when you're going up and down the stairs, you're really having to pay attention to your steps, where you're walking, and moving from one floor to another. We're adding height in there, and I think it can be disorienting to have mirrors at the top or the bottom of stairs. Again, you're seeing movement, and that can be startling. And this will also be where you're cutting somebody off. So if you've got a mirror at the bottom of the stairs, you're going to see feet and then legs and then knees, and then maybe you'll see yourself, just depending on the mirror and the way it's positioned. Maybe you'll see yourself, maybe you won't. You may just see a cut off image. I just don't think seeing that cut off image is a positive thing in any situation. Now, at the top of the stairs, a mirror can push energy back down the stairs. We don't want to do that. So imagine that something is symbolically pushing you back down the stairs. That's what I don't like about it. Some people say it draws people to the top of the stairs. I don't think so. I think it has a pushing effect. I'd much rather see something pretty and attractive that draws your eye, like a picture or something like that, at the top on a console or a little table or something. I think that's much more attractive and a lot less dangerous. Now let's talk about the one thing that is very, very common with Feng Shui, but really bad Feng Shui, and that is the Feng Shui mirror, sometimes called a Pakwa or a Bagua mirror or a Feng Shui mirror. We often see them sold in Feng Shui shops or at Chinese retailers, markets, that kind of thing. But these mirrors are not what you want to have anywhere in your home ever. And I've personally had very bad luck with them, and I have heard a number of stories where they've brought bad luck. And they really should never be used, frankly, unless you have somebody who is really qualified to tell you how to use it appropriately. So for instance, if a highway road terminates and it's opposite your front door, that's one of those instances. But unless you've got a highway that is terminating at your front door, it's really not a good idea to put them there. I would rather you use other ways to manage energy coming toward your door or house or wherever than using a Feng Shui mirror, because it has these markings on them called trigrams. And these trigrams are originally intended to be symbolic for death, actually. So we don't want to have that. You just don't want to have that. So displaying these mirrors actually can create bad luck for the person that puts them up. So we don't need that. You don't need that. Nobody wants that. All right, so we have talked about mirrors today, and specifically some of the things that you need to watch out for and things that you want to avoid when you're using mirrors, like the end of the hallway. But let's talk about the most important, the top 3 tips today. 1, never reflect the front door. We never want to have a mirror opposite the front door. Never a good idea. Number 2, we never want to have the bed in your bedroom reflected in a mirror. And tip number 3, never, ever, 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 ever. Yes, Taylor Swift, this is my homage to you. Never, ever, 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 ever use Feng Shui mirrors. Promise me you won't. I'm counting on you. All right, well, this is it for today's podcast episode, but I have a favor to ask of you while you're thinking about your mirrors around your home and thinking about moving them around, maybe, hopefully for the better. My quick favor to ask of you is, would you like me on Facebook? We are stuck at 14,773 likes, and I would just love to add your like to my Facebook account. And if you have a moment, just pop over to facebook.com/Red Lotus Letter and just hit the little blue like button. It would mean the world to me. Thanks a bunch. Have a great day. I'll talk to you on the next episode of 5 Minute Feng Shui. Hey, thanks for listening today. Although the year of the tiger is here, it's come in with a roar, and there's going to be some big ups and downs this year, like the invasion in Ukraine. But I wrote about Putin and some of the other world leaders in the Year of the Tiger Feng Shui Forecast and Success Pack. Now, back in 2021, when I was writing this in the fall, I could see this on the horizon and I warned about it. There's other things that you're going to want to know too, like where to invest your money, where to find love, and what to expect all year. And I cover all houses and bedroom directions and every zodiac sign. The Success Pack will help you be ready for the year, be prepared, make more money, and keep fortune on your side. Check out the Year of the Tiger Feng Shui Forecast at redlotusletter.com/water tiger, all one word.